If you had asked me a few years ago what success looked like for me, I would have said something like having your own business, being financially independent, being super productive and kind of wanting to achieve your dreams and goals. But moving to Italy nearly 7 years ago changed everything for me, because there's something that you need to know. Success here looks different. Back in London, I was caught in the classic definition of success. Work hard, hustle, earn more, climb higher. I was definitely in that trap. Success for me back in London meant being busy, productive, and constantly proving my worth. However, I was also exhausted. Life for me felt like it was a checklist and no longer an experience. I remember distinctly at one point running my business and driving around London on a Saturday and on a Sunday and just looking at everybody out enjoying themselves and being like, why am I not doing that? Why am I spending every single weekend working as well as every single weekday? And I honestly credit those defining moments as being the kind of catalyst for me wanting to radically change my life and in a way rediscover what it meant to live and rediscover what it meant to actually experience life and not just strive for what on paper looked like success. When I moved to Italy, I started noticing something. Success here in Italy isn't about more, it's actually about enough. I remember when I first moved here to Italy, I really struggled to adapt, especially here in the south, to the kind of slow afternoons that you can experience here, where independent shops and offices will close for a couple of hours so that everybody can go home, have lunch, and just unwind in what can be, especially in the summer, the hottest parts of the day. Now, I remember being like, how does anybody get anything done with this kind of schedule? Like, I remember being so incredulous to it when I first moved here. But over time, I've gradually begun to realize that actually people here are onto something. Because you see, success in Italy isn't measured by what's in your bank account, but it's actually measured by time. Time for food, time for family, time for passion, and time to really experience what it means to live. Now, this isn't to say that there aren't people here who want to strive to better themselves and want to achieve what on paper is material success. Of course there are. And you will definitely see that the more north in Italy you actually go. But there is just a different vibe to success in Italy compared to what I experienced living in London. People here really do value time over money. Like, you will see people here in the south of Italy who on paper do not have a lot of money to their name, but they feel like they have success because they get to spend time with their family and with their friends. And for them, that trumps any kind of large bank account that so many other people strive to achieve. And I feel like I definitely struggled to adjust to this when I first moved here, because I was so used to watching television series about business and listening to podcasts and just immersing myself into that whole world. And in a way, I still am like that to this day. But I realize now that actually success is so subjective. What success looks like to me is going to be something very different to you. And that is actually totally okay. Now, nearly 7 years in to my new life here in Italy, my definition of success has completely changed. I'm no longer obsessed about chasing numbers and money. Instead, I'm more focused on the amount of freedom that I have in my day and whether or not I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing. I also am pretty obsessed with whether or not I have time to savor life. This is something that I'm really thinking about in this period, especially as we prepare to leave Palermo and move to Salerno. I'm very much focused on savouring every last aspect of Sicily whilst I still can. And just in general, I want to appreciate more where I am and what I'm doing. And I think, these three aspects together actually help you to lead a more successful life, because I still work hard, but I work differently now. My days, especially I would say in the last 6 months or so, have completely changed, because now I'm all about trying to find more of a balance. I do use a lot of my free time to create my content, absolutely, but now I also take time where I just don't do anything content related, just to give myself that balance and that perspective, and I actually really enjoy it. And I think for me, because what I'm currently doing with this whole Ms. Brittany brand and concept, I actually enjoy what I'm doing. It doesn't feel like work to me. And that is a really beautiful thing on one hand. So I think for me, my focus is on impact, creativity, and fulfillment. These are things that I have really, really learnt are perhaps the true definitions of success, and not just the kind of achievements that you can list on paper, because success can be fleeting. So you kind of need to have a bit of depth to what it means to you. Of course, you don't have to move to Italy to redefine your life and your vision of success, but I do believe there are two key questions you can ask yourself. Firstly, what makes you feel fulfilled? And secondly, are you living more for your life or for your work? And these are two really, really important questions, and I come back to them time and time again when I find that I am perhaps leaning more into my old ways, where I was kind of obsessed in a way with work. I remind myself, like, what is it that's important to me now? And the truth of it is, I still take great joy in the work that I do. I work extremely hard on my brand, on my podcast, on my YouTube channel, on everything that I'm doing, as well as holding down a full-time job, and as well as trying to find some kind of a balance with a personal life here in Italy. And I enjoy what I do. It doesn't feel like work to me, which is why I think sometimes I have to be very conscious of the time that I spend doing what I do, because for me, it just comes so naturally. I realise that it doesn't feel like I'm actually doing a job in that sense, but it makes me feel fulfilled. And so in that sense, I'm filling that bucket, and I know that it's something that I should be doing. And then when it comes to what am I spending more time on, that's the area that I need to focus more on personally, because I do spend a lot of time working on my videos, working on my content. And there are times when I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I actually just want to be present and enjoy the moment and not have to whip out my camera and start filming and be always considering, like, what's the best content that I can capture for Instagram or for my next YouTube video. Sometimes I just don't want to think about that. And so I think it is finding a balance and striking that balance. And that's something that I am still working on. But I think these are very important questions to ask yourself, because I have definitely tipped the scale too far in the past towards overworking and not really enjoying life. And it is living here in Italy that has shown me that success doesn't have to mean that you sacrifice the aspects of life that actually are important for the human soul. Because as humans, yes, money and all of the trappings that come with that, and being able to live a comfortable life is important, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that you should neglect other aspects that also light you up, that maybe are not focused on making money, but are focused on other aspects instead. So it is always about trying to find that perfect balance, which isn't always easy to do, but it's something that's really, really necessary. And I think probably that is one of the biggest things that I have learned living here in Italy. I still want to retain the part of me that is interested in business and always wants to improve myself and build upon my skills, absolutely. But I'm also leaning more into being present and enjoying my surroundings and enjoying being in the company of other people, rather than always having my mind focused on work and what I have to do next on my to-do list. So I think this is the perfect way for you to be able to define success for yourself. Are you fulfilled? And where is your focus? Is it more on work, or is it more on kind of living life and being present as much as you can? I'll see you in the next video.